Okay, calling to order, the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees for Wednesday, December 10th, 2025 at 7:03 PM. So first, we're gonna do a roll call. So trustee Lazan. Here. Trustee Pika. Present. Trustee Fishka. Present. Trustee Warren.
Present.
Trustee Schmidt here. Trustee DeRosa here. And trustee Stoll is here as well, along with Executive Director Jason Stolman, Assistant to the Executive Director, Jack Davis, and then also the department heads, Mary Kelly Marquez, Lori Rex, Ian Stevens, Duncan Johnson is here, and Paul Doverstein, and Kathy Guidos. So, then we don't need to approve remote attendance and participation, so that's done. Then, so what I need is a motion to approve the agenda.
I move that we approve the agenda as written.
Second. Okay, so then, the motion was made by trustee DeRocher and seconded by trustee Lazan. So then discussion, do we need to remove any items, move any items around or? Okay, so then I'm going to do a roll call vote. All those in favor of the agenda as written? Aye. Aye.
Voice.
That's a vote. Voice.
I think you meant voice. They have
Voice
to be all the time.
All ayes, any opposed? Okay, hearing none, then the agenda is approved. So the first thing that's up is the presentation of the fiscal year 2025 audit by Martha Trotter from Sikich LLP.
Good evening. Thank you for inviting me tonight. I am presenting to you the results of the annual financial statement audit for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2025. As part of our audit process, we have issued the annual financial report for the library district, as well as the board communication, which includes required communications that auditing standards require us to communicate to those charged with governance. Within that communication, you'll find the management letter for the library for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2025. And then we've also assisted with the completion of the annual financial report that is required to be submitted each year to the state comptroller's office. Today, I'll be covering, highlighting some of the key items in the annual financial report, as well as touching on the board communication packet. So you should have received two packets for review, the annual financial report being the larger of the two. The annual financial report is made up of three sections. There's an introductory section, the financial statements, as well as a supplemental section. The introductory section includes the management's discussion and analysis of these financial statements. And that is you'll find on page numbers MD&A 1 through MD&A 10. The management discussion and analysis is prepared by the library's management, and it serves as an executive summary of the financial statements themselves, provides some additional context to the numbers you'll find that are reported in the basic financial statements, and provides a bit more context to those balances, as well as some comparative information that you don't find directly in the basic financial statements. So the MD&A does provide for a comparison schedules of current year balances as compared to previous year audited balances, and includes some discussion as to significant changes or fluctuations and what led to those changes or fluctuations for those significant items. You'll also find some discussion and analysis of actual audited balances as compared to what was budgeted for the general fund in that MD&A section. I would encourage, if you read nothing else in the financial statements, the MD&A is a great place to pretty much summarizes the report for you and gives you that information on those balances that are reported in the audited section of the financial statements. Following that MD&A on pages 1 through 3, so right behind the MD&A, you'll find our independent auditor's report. And I am pleased to report for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2025, we have issued a clean, unmodified opinion on the library district's financial statements. That is the highest level of assurance that we can provide. based on the testing that we completed in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards. Our auditing standards are pretty stringent and rigid, and in order for the library district to have received that clean, unmodified opinion, a lot of information had to be prepared at year end and a lot of reconciliations done in order to ensure those balances met that opinion threshold. We completed all of our testing with the assistance of the information provided to us by Jason and Jackie, and we want to extend our team's appreciation as we do have a lot of inquiries throughout the entire audit process. We are able to do a lot of our work remotely, but it still takes quite a bit of time, and it takes a lot of effort to provide that information to us. We have a lot of questions back and forth, so I do want to extend our team's gratitude for the professionalism, the timeliness of the information provided to us, because of how quickly and responsive the team was. We were able to issue in line with our audit schedule and in compliance with the state mandated requirements to have the financial statements audited and issued within 6 months of the fiscal year end. The basic financial statements begin with government-wide financial statements. You'll find on pages 4 and 5. Those government-wide financial statements report the library district's activities in total for all of its funds combined into total balances. And these are reported on a modified cash basis. They include balances associated with the library district's longer term assets, capital assets net of accumulated depreciation are reported within these balances, as well as debt that's carried that is to be extinguished in future years. So unlike what the information that you're used to reviewing on a monthly basis, those longer term, which is why these are reported on a modified cash basis, as they do contain certain items that are not true cash basis accounting. The library district's governmental funds information, which is more in line with the level of information that you're used to reviewing on a monthly basis, begins on page 6 with the statement of assets, liabilities, deferred inflows of resources and fund balances on a modified cash basis, and the statement of revenues collected, expenditures paid, and changes in fund balances is found on page 8. So these two statements are reported also on a modified cash basis, as they do report some minor liabilities associated with payroll items, but those are relatively immaterial balances. These statements are reported for the general fund and special reserve fund individually, and they reflect the library district's non-major governmental funds in total. The library's non-major governmental funds are made up of its working cash fund, so it's a permanent fund. So those 3 columns reflect the library's general governmental fund activities. Our opinion is on the general fund and special reserve fund individually, which is why they are reported and called out individually. And the non-major governmental funds are those which have minimal activity reported throughout the year and are less material as compared to the library in total. So that's why they are contained as summarized in non-major governmental funds reporting. The library did report in total an increase in its fund balances for all funds combined of 84,086 over the previous year. The general fund reported an increase in its fund balance of 87,652. So that was the majority of that increase, while the special reserve fund did have a slight decrease in its fund balance of 3,566. And that was a result of the timing of expenditures paid as compared to when revenues were collected and reported in that fund. There were no significant projects. However, there were some minor expenditures related to the library's cultural and recreation function in that fund. There were no implementations of GASB pronouncements that impacted the financial reporting or disclosures that are presented in this year's annual financial report. So the reporting and presentation is consistent with what was effective in the previous fiscal year. There's no footnote disclosures that are new or added based on any additional or new pronouncements that came from the Government Accounting Standards Board. So nothing that impacted the library in terms of how this report is reported to you, how the accounting is reported and reflected in these financial statements. One other section of the report following the footnotes and the detailed budget versus actual schedules for each of the library's funds is the supplemental section. Within the supplemental information section, you'll find schedules for the library's Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund. Actually, these schedules are not required to be included in the financial statements, and that is why they're reported in the supplementary information. However, it is pretty useful information to get a sense of the library's allocation of the Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund, which is the pension plan that supports the library's employees. These schedules are presented for historical information, and they will build up to 10 years of information. So you can see how the library's contributions as compared to the eligible payroll, or the covered payroll as we call it. So that funding level of what the library's expenses are each year towards IMRF as compared to the payroll associated with those eligible IMRF eligible employees. That schedule is located on page 34. And on page 35, you have 10 years of historical information provided to you where you can find the library's net pension liability for the past 10 years within the IMRF plan. So that's the portion of the library's allocation of that overall pension liability associated with future benefits that will be paid out to current employees as it's calculated by actuaries based on the level of the pension liability as compared to the library's allocation of that plan's fiduciary net position. So IMRF is a very well-funded pension plan. So as you see on page 35, there's a employer's net pension liability or asset as a percentage of covered payroll. There's also a funding percentage. IMRF has in 2024, which is the most current data available to be reported, is just below 86% funded. Any questions on the financial statements before I touch on the board communication? The board communication, or what we call the auditor's communication to the Board of Trustees, is this second of the two reports that was provided to you for review. And as I noted, within this report, we include information that auditing standards require to report to those charged with governance. So a lot of the language in here is very mandated and very specific to how our standards require things to be communicated. So I'll just break things down a little bit to make it a little bit easier to understand, hopefully. Beginning on page 2 is where you'll find those mandated communications for you. Previous to that, we just have a brief letter to explain the reasoning and what is contained within this report. So on page 2, we discuss if there were any significant changes to the financial statements, if there were any implementations of auditing standards or accounting standards, we would notate those in on page 2. There were no such items to report for this year. We also discuss if there's any significant estimates that are reported in the library district's financial statements. That is the last paragraph on page 2. We do discuss that those the district's net pension liability that is reported in the footnotes to the financial statements, not on the face of, not within the financial statements themselves. However, we do consider those to be significant estimates as we rely on actuaries to calculate those balances. And they're material balances that are reported. If that information is contained in that supplementary information, we just note that because of the assumptions that go into calculating those balances, we do consider those to be significant estimates. And those assumptions are determined by the actuaries who are experts in their field. On page 3, we disclose if there were any difficulties encountered in performing the audit or any disagreements with management. And as I noted at the start of my presentation, Everything was provided to us timely and in a very professional and organized manner. There were no such items to report. Had there been any issues that arose, this would not be the first that you would be hearing from us regarding this. We would certainly have communicated previous to today. There's a section regarding corrected and uncorrected misstatements. And this is just required to be communicated if there were any adjusting entries that were prepared as part of the audit that were reflected in the audited financial statements, or if there were any items that are called uncorrected misstatements, or we also refer to them as past adjustments. So items that came to our attention that were not actually adjusted in the financial statements, we are still disclosing them within this packet. There were items related to audit adjustments that we complete annually to assist in the year-end audit, and that relates to those capital asset and long-term debt balances that are reported only at that entity-wide financial statement reporting. So nothing that impacted your individual funds, only that entity-wide level, that once a year reporting that's required to comply with GAAP. Following that letter is where you'll find the listing of audit adjustments that I just referred to on page 5. So there were those 2 adjustments that were reported, consistent with previous years, that to report those capital asset and long-term debt balances on the entity-wide financial statements. And on page 6, you'll find a schedule of the past adjustments. This relates to what was previously implemented, a GASB pronouncement for right to use assets that are not reflected in the financial statements, relating to some lease standards that became applicable a couple of years ago. These balances are not material to the library's financial statements and didn't require that adjustment to be made. However, they are significant enough to require disclosing that those balances were not adjusted. So we reflect this on the past adjustment schedule. That would be the impact had we assisted the library district in making that change to the financial statements. And then finally, the management letter, which begins on page 8. And this is where we would disclose if we had any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies that arose in the course of our audit process. There were no such items that came to our attention in our review of the library district's internal control processes. Based on our testing procedures and what we've evaluated, all of the processes that are written down as in place are functioning as they were described. We didn't have any instances where there were items that appeared to be not functioning as described or as intended. So we had no such items to report to the board. Any questions on the board communication?
Yeah. It's very factual. I'm used to, as a teacher, I, we embellish just all this, it was great, And there was like one sentence of, well, please clean up, but it's so factual, and it makes me feel very confident that you look at it with a real, unbiased, just, of course, because that's your job, but.
Yeah.
But yeah, it makes us be proud of our organization. And Jason and Jackie for doing all this work to put it together.
It is a lot of work.
Yeah.
We do appreciate all that time that goes into it.
We appreciate working with you, and you've always been very kind and patient with me when I have questions, so thank you.
Seems like it was a really cold night when you were here last time too.
I think so, yeah. Might have been icy on the ground as well. That time of year, I guess.
Yeah.
More snow this year, though.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
I feel like we should applaud.
Yeah, I know.
Thank you for your job, Martha. Happy holidays. You as well.
Yeah, thank you.
So then.
Oh, sure, yes.
Page 3.
On page 3, yes. So last week we had a lovely presentation at Rank County. Appreciate it. I believe none of the rest of these folks needed or wanted presentations necessarily. But as we were just figuring out, I hadn't realized that we had presented to the board previously, so catching up to the last 3 years of not recognizing the folks that had had their 5, 10, or 15 or more anniversaries. So you see the list there in front of you. She did not want a presentation, but I just want to call out Jackie for being here for 30 years.
Well, we knew that about you, Jackie, so.
I can't believe that Lee has been here to changing.
Thank you.
Yes. That's amazing.
So yeah, it's just, like I said there, we have a wonderful staff.
Yeah.
And the library is what it is because of that. So, thanks to all of them. Again, said it multiple times, but thank you for supporting the staff as you do. So that is not always the case. So I really appreciate how you all support the library and staff. So it helps make these long anniversaries possible.
We're going for it. Okay, so then on to public comments. The public that wants to comment. Okay, hearing none, then we'll go on to correspondence. Jason. And page 4.
Yep, we just had 2. One was a thank you note from little friends, specifically to Diana, but just for all the cooperation and work that they do together. Excuse me. As an extra shout out to Diana, it's not a thank you note for correspondence or anything, but she recently had her final story time. Officially. And I'm sure she'll do story time again, but officially on, regularly scheduled story time. It was later now. She's just been doing it for many years and she's well loved and much appreciated. So just wanted to call her out. But she's doing a fantastic job in her new role. So we are lucky to have her.
Sure.
The other correspondence was just a memo from our lawyers about some changes to the Public Act in the state of Illinois for the Open Meetings Act and the Freedom of Information Act. So one of those changes is for our policy later on that we're reviewing. But others so that's remote attendance. So we're reviewing the remote attendance policy in a little bit. One is, so currently we have to have a bunch of FOIA information posted on our bulletin board for the public to see. And they are now saying that as long as we have a website and we can post the information there, we do not need to post it on our bulletin board. So come January, I'll probably take that down, double check, make sure that we have all that on the website.
Good.
I believe.
Nice.
Another nice thing, I don't think we may have had one that seemed never got much response other than the initial request. So it's possible that it would have applied, but a lot of libraries have been getting lots of FOIA requests. And sometimes it seems very suspicious that it's an actual person. And so they have added in that public bodies can request verification that the FOIA request is coming from an actual live person and not a bot of some sort. So presumably and I believe the phrasing of it is until they get that verification, that 5 days deadline for it doesn't start until the verification. So I can say,
Humanness is
can you please
verified.
verify that you are an actual person submitting this request? And if we don't hear from you, well, then your request is denied because you should tell us that you're an actual human being.
Now, isn't there a couple of organizations that routinely ask for things every year, but because it ties to a specific person that's requesting it from?
We get quarterly ones, but Jackie does speak with an actual person for that one, so.
Doing that one for years. It's about every quarter. Yeah, it's basically they want the checkbook.
And I think similar to that, there's various, kind of watchdoggy sort of organizations out there that just
You just blanket.
blanket to a lot of people, so they may be an actual person, but sometimes I think just the way they go about blanket requesting, you may not get a response from them anyway, but I at least like that statement. It's like, okay, if you can't add that personal response to the request, then nobody has to respond to you. So, and then something about, you don't have to include junk mail in FOIA requests, which is an odd thing to point out, but I'm sure it has come up somehow. So, but anyway, yeah, so just a few little changes to the law happening in January.
Okay.
So,
Then going on to the consent agenda, Madam Secretary.
Yes. Okay, the consent agenda for December 10th. Approved minutes of November 19th, 2025, Truth and Taxation Public Hearing. Approved minutes of the November 19th, 2025 regular board meeting. Receive and file financial report for November 2025. Accept the fiscal year 2025 financial audit as presented by Sikich. Certify the 2026 statement of economic interest list and authorize submission of information to DuPage. And adopt ordinance number 2025-06, fixing regular meetings for 2026.
Okay, may I have a motion, please?
so moved.
Okay, so trustee Warren motioned and a second,
Second.
trustee Lazan seconded. Okay, so any discussion or questions? I didn't know if anybody needed to pull anything off or.
Just as some explanation for a newest trustee. Every year, DuPage County requires that all of the trustees and all of the management, for that matter, need to submit a statement of economic interest.
Yes.
And it's this question, it's an online questionnaire. It seems overwhelming using it first. But it's mostly ensuring that you don't have any conflicts of interest. Like you don't have an ownership in a company that the library is using for construction or something like that. So it's a lot of those sorts of things. If you have no, like, if your answer is no to all the questions, they all seem highly bizarre and like, why do I have to answer this question? But it's just to disclose any potential financial relatability for companies, or economic interest. And then the ordinance is every year we are required as a district to publish an ordinance of the upcoming year's meeting schedule.
Oh,
So that's what that is.
So are you gonna email us a link to fill out that economic interest?
I will. So first, now that you will be, we've got this list that will sign and will
Mhm.
file, I'll submit that. And then at some point, I think in March
send
or
it in.
April,
Okay.
they will
They'll
ask
send
me
it
to verify the list again online, and then they'll send out a link to all. Or they don't, or they send it to me and I send it, to you. But I think they will email all of you
Yeah, I
directly.
think they was directly.
So, but
Last year I
I'll
got
give you a
listed
heads
on the list. Somehow, I think you had to help me out with that.
I think I
But we
made a
worked
typo.
out. Yeah, it worked out. Mhm.
But yeah, so they should email you all directly, but as we get closer to that time, I will give you the heads up to be on the lookout.
Okay, so any further questions or discussion on the consent agenda? Okay, then I'm gonna do the roll call vote. So trustee DeRocher.
Aye.
Trustee Schmidt.
Aye.
Trustee Warren.
Aye.
Trustee Pitchka. Aye. Trustee Pika.
Aye.
Trustee Lazan.
Aye.
And trustee Stahl votes aye, so, and hearing no names, the consent agenda is approved as read. Okay, so now we're on to the regular agenda. So we have, the two merchants
I move that we pay invoices in the amount of $78,380.33 for the period of November 20, 2025 through December 10, 2025, including electronic payments and checks 10868 through 10904. Checks number 10883, 10889, and 10894 are void.
Second.
Okay, okay, so that motion was made by trustee Peacock and seconded by trustee Lazan. So that,
You just gave it to
yes, okay, so then trustee Pishka, trustee Peacock. Aye. Trustee Warren.
Aye.
Trustee Lazan.
Aye.
Trustee Schmidt.
Aye.
Trustee DeRocher. Aye. And trustee Stoll votes aye, so, motion carries and the payments are approved. So then item B,
I move that we transfer $125,000 from the commercial checking account to the operating checking account.
second. Okay, so trustee was, motion was made by trustee Pika and seconded by trustee DeRocher. Again, I'm doing a roll call vote. So trustee DeRocher. Aye. Trustee Lazan.
Aye.
Trustee Pika.
Aye.
Trustee Warren.
Aye.
Trustee Schmidt.
Aye.
Trustee Pishka.
Aye.
Okay, and so, trustee Stoll votes aye too. So then, motion carries and the transfer of funds is approved. So then item C under the regular agenda, I need a motion, and that's on page 25.
I move that we approve resolution R 232, resolution to transfer monies from the corporate fund to the special reserve fund. Do we have to specify amounts?
No, he says later on, we might have to adjust our.
Yeah.
I'll second.
Okay, so trustee is, motion was made by trustee Pika and seconded by trustee Warren. So any discussion or?
So, I was having, when I merged all my PDFs to make the packet this month, Adobe had several issues. One thing that happened was that the resolution that you're voting on didn't make it into the packet. It is in front of you. I printed it out, a copy. So the resolution itself states the amount of money.
Okay, so I will amend the motion to transfer $125,000.
Well, you know, the resolution states that amount. So you're approving the resolution.
Oh, but that's not what my motion was. My motion did not have a dollar amount. That's why.
It didn't need it because the resolution itself has a dollar.
Just so we're covered,
There should be a copy of the resolution.
I got it.
Okay,
and that's where I got the money from, so.
got it.
But I wasn't sure that the
I mean,
motion did.
I suppose if you wanted to include it in the motion, but you're approving the resolution and the resolution states the.
Makes perfect sense. Okay. Yep.
I re-second. Okay,
Can't do it. We didn't.
so anyway, we have, so typically, what wouldn't happen, which we haven't, you haven't experienced it, but I haven't experienced it yet either. But normally what happens is you have your fiscal year, it ends, you get the audit to take place, and then once that is over, if we had any money that we didn't spend and was left over, we could transfer it from our corporate account to our special reserve to help build up the special reserve for all these things that I mentioned, you know, but mainly for building maintenance and then often a lot of automation things, and computers as well. Because back in fiscal year 2021, 2022, 2023, you all and Sandy Whitmer made all the benefit increases for staff with the insurance and other
Some
things.
mighty fine decisions.
It was indeed, but that meant we have been running a deficit budget for the last several years. I put the little chart there in front of you so that you could see we've been budgeting a deficit, but we have in fact been spending and ending up each year with a surplus. So total for the last 4 fiscal years there, we've had budgeted a deficit of 682,000 and change, but we've actually had a surplus of 269,000 change. So that is how much we have underspent. We have underspent by that's over $900,000. So therefore,
Yeah.
we've been planning on that budget or that deficit, hence not transferring to the special reserve because we wanted to make sure we still had enough money in the corporate account to pay for that deficit if we need it. But we have not been spending that deficit. So therefore, even if we spent the whole entire deficit this year, which I don't believe we will, I think we'll have to spend a little bit of our deficit this year, but even if we spend it all, we will still have money left over as a surplus. So With that in mind, I think one or two of you mentioned earlier in the year that it would be nice if this year we could actually
Let's
make
get
a
on.
transfer to the special
Yes.
reserve fund to try and boost back up because we've been only spending out of it the last couple of years and not putting anything back into it. So with those numbers in mind, I had recommended, still trying to stay moderately conservative, recommending the $125,000 to transfer over to the special reserve fund. So hopefully that all made sense.
Where's mine?
Okay, so any other questions, comments, discussion? Okay, then I'm going to do a roll call vote.
Actually, I do have a question.
Okay,
Where do you think we're aiming for next year in terms of income?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
Haven't done that.
All right,
We, in terms of what the end budget number deficit or surplus will be, I imagine we will still have a deficit. I don't imagine, I'm fairly certain it will not increase. I'm hoping I'll be able to decrease the amount
yes,
and keep working our way back towards the balanced budget. That is my goal anyway.
yes, okay,
But the CPI was smaller this year, which means our levy increase is smaller than it has been the last couple of years. So
with all that interest coming.
Yeah.
we are making a lot more interest, so. So, yeah, we'll see. Okay, but my goal is to keep working us back towards that working, because that is where I feel comfortable.
so then, roll call vote, trustee Schmidt,
Aye.
trustee Warren, trustee Pishka.
Aye.
Trustee Pika,
Aye.
trustee Bazan,
Aye.
trustee DeRocher,
Aye.
and trustee Stoll votes aye, so then the resolution is approved. Okay, so now we're on to 9 unfinished business, and it's on page 27. So it's the approving the updated policy for the art exhibit, so I need a motion.
I'll move, approve the updated policy number 360 art exhibits as presented.
Sorry. Seconded by trustee, motion was made by trustee Schmidt, seconded by trustee Warren. So, and discussion questions, I'll turn it over to Jason.
Sure, we reviewed the policy last month, but again, the biggest highlights were we moved the teen lounge as one of the display space options. We updated the information about the quiet room. Increased the maximum display time up to 6 months. And just kind of rearrange some of the items from the policy and application. So, and then formatting, I kind of rearranged everything, trying to get a better flow, but those bullet points are major substantial.
Oh, pretty straight. Okay.
I had one question on how the blue wall and the brown wall had different heights.
How do you mean?
Well, it's, you can see that one's longer perhaps, but I think that they're the same height, aren't they?
The one wall doesn't. I know what he's talking about. It says blue wall, 135 by 48. Brown wall, 228 by 60.
I believe
Isn't that the
my height
fireplace?
measurement is based on the hanging racks, because the hanging rack on the brown wall. That does look brown, it's purple wall. Unless I'm colorblind looking at the photos. There are two different rack systems. So I think the hanging rods on the purple wall are a different height than the hanging rods on the blue wall. So I think that's what's accounted for that.
Okay, that makes sense.
Right, otherwise, if I was just counting from floor to ceiling, they should be exactly the same, but I was measuring the length of the hanging
It
rod.
looks like they're level in the picture too.
But since there are two different types of hanging racks, the rods are different lengths. So,
Okay, so, any further technical discussion? Okay, I'm going to do a roll call vote. So trustee DeRocher.
Aye.
Trustee Schmidt.
Aye.
Trustee Warren.
Aye.
Trustee Pitchka.
Aye.
Trustee Pika.
Aye.
Trustee Bazan.
Aye.
And trustee Stoll votes aye, so motion carries and the art exhibit policy number 360 is approved. So we're on to new business. So first item A on page 33 is reviewing the updated policy for remote attendance and participation, which is discussion only. So,
All right, so as mentioned by the memo at the start from our lawyers. One of the things that changed, is changing for January 1st is allowing. Remote attendance. If you have to perform active military duty as a service member, then you can. Have remote attendance into a meeting. The unexpected childcare obligations. Is new to our policy, but I think was due to a legislative update a couple of years ago. So it just hadn't made it into the policy, but it is new for our policy, but not necessarily new for the state. But so I added both of those into the policy, and that really was the only changes I made.
It's only childcare, not elder care.
Yeah.
Yeah, just in your situation. That's probably more pertinent to those retired people who are on boards.
Good point.
Although child saying.
Child
You're
care.
eligible for that discussion, aren't you?
That's family care, yeah.
It does say family or other emergency, so
Okey doke.
Yeah.
I mean. I doubt anyone's gonna come down hard. I feel like it could be interpreted and be like, you need to stay home and take care of your. Parents, I think that would be considered that family emergency.
Okay.
I'd be willing to be flexible to allow that, so.
Okay, yeah, right.
I don't think we can necessarily, I would like to rewrite that in, but this is based on.
The law.
Yeah, so,
I think some.
but I think that is a very good point.
The elder person would be cared for by a younger person, so the child care is probably a should.
The child's caring for.
Child.
There we go, creative interpretation.
I think anybody who wants to attend remotely for that reason. Will find a way to get them.
Thank you.
So yeah, it's otherwise the policy stays the same, and it's just those basic rules for. Allowing you to attend a meeting remotely, you can't make it in person, so.
So we have to, you're gonna bring that to us next month, or do we have to?
I'll bring it back in January for you to vote on officially. I know it's a smaller policy, we probably could have voted on it this month, but. Following our usual practice of letting you review it the first month and then you can vote on it next month. So. That was all.
And so then on to item B, which is on page 35. Authorizing library staff to submit the per capita grant application to Illinois State Library. So that one I need a motion for.
I move we authorize the library staff to submit to the Illinois State Library the .1 certification of eligibility for grants pursuant to 75 ILCS 10/ and item B, fiscal year 25 public library per capita grant application, and point C, fiscal year 24 public library per capita grant expenditure report.
Second.
Okay, motion was made by trustee Warren and seconded by trustee Lazan. So any discussion, questions, or turn it over to Jason or?
Sure. I think the last couple of years, this has just been included in the consent agenda. But since this year, they reviewed and updated the Illinois standards for public libraries. I figured it was worth making it a special item so that I could include the very long. And weird, again, Adobe Acrobat did a weird thing and omitted a whole bunch of letters apparently in the standards portion. Which is weird.
Yeah.
I didn't see the R.
When I opened up just its individual PDF, it was all fine, but apparently the combined PDF, it did weird things, so sorry about that. But yeah, so I figured it was worth making that for you so you could review it. This year, they've just now made it a PDF that you download off of the ILA's website. It was previously a book that they published and printed. But the biggest changes, a lot of the format and a lot of the things were still the same, but they have now structured the standards, as you can see with that, all the charts and whatnot. They have the core standards, then they have the intermediate and the advanced standards. So For the most part, we are meeting all of the core standards and we are meeting several of the intermediate and advanced standards. In my report there, you can see there's a couple items that we don't, of the core standards that we're not currently meeting. One is the capital improvement plan and maintenance checklist. So that was one of my goals for the year. So we're working on that. Hopefully we'll accomplish that by the end of the fiscal year. The second one was a long-term financial plan, which I was not previously, I don't remember being part of the standards. So either that was new or it was just not part of the core and it was one of the supplementary things. So they have made it part of the core this year. So we have a fund balance policy and an investment policy, but they both need reviewing because it's been, I think, over 10 years since either of them have been reviewed. So we'll review those and I will take a look and see if I can find out more information about what an actual long-term plan for a library looks like. So I will work on that. And then another core standard was the succession plan for the director. So assuming, you know, should you decide to fire me, should I get hit by a bus or I guess I was in a car accident last month, but should something happen to me and I'm no longer here, then there is a plan in place for what happens next. So to ensure that someone is running the library. So we didn't have that, I believe. I think Jackie had mentioned that that had been on Sandy's list due before she left. I think I found a sample document from another library that she had already had on the network somewhere. So, but she just didn't get to it, and I haven't worked on it since I've been here. But I will add that to my list of things to do in the next year or so to get done.
So you have your goals for this.
I do.
Is this only required for libraries with a certain amount of capitalization? It seems like it'd be very hard to come up with this kind of information as we were when we were based in the other building over there in 2 floors of a partial building, and maybe downstate folks that aren't in, maybe have a small little building that really isn't. Or a bookmobile, yeah, well, that's something else, but I'm thinking that this is, you'd have to be at a certain level before any of that made sense to do.
For the capital improvement or the financial plan?
Either one, actually, because unless you've got an increasing population or some kind of wealth that comes into the community, there'd be nothing more that you could draw on. So maybe passing a hat.
They do state, I think, in the standards there somewhere, you know, if these core standards don't apply to you, or if they're just not achievable, please state why.
Oh,
So I think they are understanding that, you know, there are a lot of very small libraries in Illinois and a lot of them.
All you have to write is C budget.
Right.
C budget.
A lot of these things, like, there's gonna be a lot of libraries that don't have that staff, don't have that makerspace, don't have a lot of these things, and they just cannot, it's impossible for them to achieve them. I don't know that the state is gonna go penalizing anybody for that. I think they're the folks that need the per capita grant even more than we do. So I think they're very understanding of that. So this isn't necessarily like, okay, we're short on a couple of these core standards, like that will not affect us receiving our per capita grant, but they just want to make sure. Part of the point of this, I suppose I should have prefaced for Erica. So every year we apply for this per capita grant. Like I stated there, this year we got $22,412. All libraries in Illinois can apply for it. But as part of the application process, they make us review these Illinois standards for public libraries.
Yeah.
And so the idea just being they are more than willing and happy to give us all this money. They just want to make sure that we are continually reviewing these standards and making sure that we are keeping up to par and being able to provide service to the community, which is good.
Well, it's not that much. Right? The big picture.
And the big picture,
To some
right?
small libraries, it would be
Yeah. But if you're an even smaller library, then you're getting the smaller.
even smaller amount, right?
But for some of those small libraries with really tiny budgets, every little bit counts. So whereas we have that Thanks to you all, we have the healthy levy. So this is, while we would miss this, majority of our money comes from our levy. So like we are not as dependent on needing this money, but we definitely still want it. So,
Okay, any further discussion or questions? Okay, I'm gonna do a voice vote on this, so all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so motion carries and we're authorizing staff to submit the per capita grants. Okay, so then on to the director's report, which is page 91.
I was realizing, Jason, that anybody that has to run anytime soon can just use their whole first page of your director's report as their platform.
there you go.
Run for library board.
So
Here's
yeah.
what I did. Please vote for me.
Exactly. So yeah, I just wanted to, I think I've done it the last couple of years. I don't know if you had received it before, but I just thought, you know, you all are volunteers, you volunteer your time every month. So you should get a a year in review. Just to, you know, summarize and cap off what you all accomplished during your volunteer time for the library. So so I thank you to all of you and kudos to all of you for all the things that you've accomplished. So some of the biggest things this year, reviewing the employee handbook policy. So that what took us 4 months of, 3 or 4 months of reviewing. In addition to 9 other policies that we updated or added this year. Of course, there's a lot of the annual things, director evaluation, the budget, the levy, the budget and appropriation, all the associated things with that. And thank you again this year for supporting us opening up our Illinois funds account so that we could make a little more money on our interest, which is great. Worked on the strategic plan.
Yeah, that was
So
big.
we gave lots of direction and feedback. You participated in the survey, the focus groups. You were just supportive in general, supportive of creating that community engagement and outreach coordinator position. Just everything that the staff did. So that was a big task. So, also the per capita grant right here, the IPLAR report that we review every year. All the meeting schedule ordinance that you just did. All those annual things we've got to do. We attended ILA Trustee Day, went to other workshops and dinners, and a big thank you. You joined us in the parade and you joined us for FanCon. So thank you. So I'm always amazed at how fast time is flying, but at the same time, some of these things seem like eons ago to me. Feels like it has been a long year, even though it went by in a flash. But as usual, you guys did a lot, so thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, and then in front of you, you've got your yellow calendar of responsibilities for 2026. So all the things to look forward to in the new year. So many of which are the same.
Quick question on that.
Yeah.
Is there any way we can change the director evaluation? It's kind of like right tax time. For some of us that do business taxes, it's kind of like really hard to do.
Well, do you have a suggestion? I mean, it needs to be around that time. We don't have to be the first. Well, it'd be a better time.
Well, April is just insane for me.
Okay, you want it to be March?
I mean, if you could, I mean, everybody else could do theirs in April, if you could get it to me in March. That would be easier.
Yeah, what do you think? Well, when are you back?
In the middle of March.
I don't know. Yeah.
Unless you want to push it back and have the deadline be May 1st instead of April 1st.
Yeah, but then you
You
still
know,
have to get it compiled for the.
I feel like I could probably make that happen for you. I could probably make it happen in March. And I can get it to everybody in March. We'll still have an April 1st deadline, but I could get it out faster.
Okay,
And
If I could try to do a preliminary and then have your eyes on it, like almost as soon as you get back.
I can make them April 1st,
Okay,
because I come back
But I mean,
The
before I
23rd.
send it out, I need you to prove it. See what I'm saying? Okay, we're on it,
We
Just
can
let me know.
talk more closer to the time. We'll figure
because
it
you
out.
know, we gotta do that evaluation. You know,
I mean, you don't.
I don't know. I don't know.
I just, it's always kind of like. Kind of,
yeah, I mean, if it's due April 1st, we would be sending it out way before that anyway. So I'll just.
okay,
I'll just get it out. As soon as I can.
okay, because that's always kind of like a very hectic time for me, so.
I'm so sorry.
Well, you know,
Well, to your point, if it's due April 1st, if she just has an extra week in March, that should help out the
Yeah.
situation.
Yes. Okay. I'll do my best. I'm gonna write that.
And I don't think I'm back until the 25th.
Say again?
I don't think I'm back until the 25th of March. So, but I'll have time to do it,
When are you gone?
February, March,
You leave the end of January?
middle of February.
Maybe we should meet on it before you leave. Wouldn't that be wise? Imagine us doing something way in advance. How about if we do that in like mid-January?
Unless you
Go with Jerry. Unless I go with- My mom would be really happy about that at this point.
Just let me
Oh,
know.
just go.
You have a more difficult schedule than I do when I'm here.
Okay, okay, I'm gonna write that. Meet with Jerry. This is Barbara's list.
So that's Jason. I don't think I'll be here for February or March meetings.
Okay.
Where's that?
You stay out of trouble.
Where's the calendar again? What's the date for the February meeting?
It's on this, it's on the
It's just
delegate.
DLRG.
No, I'll be gone for the March and I will be gone for the February. For sure. Thank you.
Um. Harassment training. Last week I sent you all an email.
You're always harassing us about our.
I did.
This annual thing that you
Our
harass us
annual
about.
harassment.
I'll have to check, because I don't remember saying it.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing it either.
I did see your actual reminder, and then I completely forgot.
I
So-
figured that was a great New Year's project.
So we can have a couple options here. So the training that I sent you is through Paylocity. So we use Paylocity for our payroll, then we have an included module. So it's essentially the 1 hour training module that most of the staff are watching, managers are watching a 2 hour one. I want to make you do that. So you can still do that on your own if you want. We could either this year or plan for future years. If you want, we could always have a committee of the whole meeting before the regular meeting, and then we could just watch it all together, and then we all don't have to try and do it separately.
Yeah,
I like that.
I like that.
Or singing.
I thought we did it one of the years like that. I don't know if it was last
Yeah.
year, like we did.
We did the Little Friends autism training.
That.
Yeah.
I think that's an excellent idea.
And we'll just get it all done in one fell swoop.
But if somebody can't come at 6 o'clock, early, for whatever reason,
they
they
can
could
make
do it
other
individually
arrangements.
also, right?
With Jim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another option for that would mean we would need to schedule that for January, which we could do. It just means we're all late on the deadline, but that's not particularly worried if we're a couple of weeks late on the deadline.
You really think they're gonna be knocking on our door?
No,
I'm
absolutely
not
not.
sending
You
you.
Warrenville dead beats you.
I'm sure there are a lot of libraries that it is required of the board, but I bet there are a bunch of libraries that don't have their board. So-
No, they have to do.
Probably that as well. An additional option is, I think the Paylocity training is nice because it is anti-harassment, so it's not just I believe the requirement from the state is the sexual harassment training. But the Paylocity training is anti-harassment, so it includes all sorts, which is better, and it's a more engaging, interactive video. But the Illinois Department of Human Rights
Yeah.
That has a 23-minute sexual harassment training video, requires no login of any sort. I can, if you want to just do that and not have to log into Paylocity, because I know that was the weird thing of I had to designate you all and create accounts for you as non-employees. And I know that was the weird part of trying to remember your login and your password. And using that
How
one.
long is the Paylocity?
It's an hour,
So and the other one's 23 minutes?
23 minutes.
So
It is essentially a slideshow that is read by AI. It's because I watched it today and watched it today. I'm pretty sure that is exactly what it is.
is it
So it is
terrible?
not engaging at all, but it has the information, the basic information about the sexual harassment training that is required.
It would, that satisfy
That
the
would,
requirement.
that satisfies the requirement. So if you
So-
want to do that this year, I could just send you all the link to the 23-minute video. And then that's really easy because you don't have to log into anything. It is just on their website.
I'm down for that.
And then if you liked the idea of watching it all together, then for next year's
No,
training.
actually, I like doing the 23-minute video on my own. I promise, on my honor, my Girl Scout promise that I will do it.
Can you put that on the calendar to take a poll of how we want to do it next year at the appropriate month?
Sure.
Then this.
But we did add it to your calendar of responsibilities this time. It wasn't on there previously, but we
Yeah,
added
but
deadline.
so we can determine if
But
we
yeah.
need the committee of the whole or whether we're doing the 24-minute video, because they'll find something to add to it. Yeah.
And who knows in a year's time if that same 23-minute video is still sitting there, but
So how,
Paylocity will absolutely definitely still,
how will you know if we watched it just because we said we did?
yes. I believe at the end of the video, there was, I'm not quite sure how I suppose you could do a screen grab. I could do a screen grab and then just send you all the document, but they had a certificate for you to fill out. But again, that is you essentially just telling me that you have done it, as opposed to Paylocity where I can go in and tell them if you have completed.
Double
it.
check.
But I know last year we had a couple of issues where you did it, but it didn't quite register and it was just being
Yeah,
weird.
I think I had a problem getting into it. I had to come in here to the library to do it.
Yeah.
So I just realized it shouldn't have been that hard, but it
It was-
caused more problems than it was supposed to. So
Yeah.
that's why I thought maybe I
You're
Like,
gonna send us. a
found
link.
this 23-minute video and I thought maybe that would be a good option.
Yeah,
So do you want to do that this year?
yeah.
Yeah.
And then next year, earlier than December, we will
Decide.
revisit it and see what the options
Yeah,
are. and
well,
see what
the
you wanna do.
23-minute thing just really makes me wanna, jump off the cliff. I might I might feel harassed by it.
Yeah, I'd like to view it this year. Let you know my opinion.
Okay, so I will send you that, and that should be very easy
Like, how
for
many
you all
of these
to.
things do I have
A
to
couple.
do? I have to do it for work too.
So we should expect.
So it's like, how many of these do you have to do? I gotta do it for work too, so it's like multiple.
It's like harassment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a way that you could, like, you did it for work, so.
Yeah, I
Well,
know.
that's the same thing. I do it for work too.
Yeah.
But
It's like, how many
usually
times
I
you gotta
have,
do
like,
that? I can tell you.
But I think it's two different, the company that they
Yeah.
pursue the county is different than Velocity, so that's.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of different companies that all have like
It's
the
the
slightly
same
different
thing.
trainings, but it's the same information. It's just
Yeah,
how they present it, whatever.
I think we're.
We don't know for certain whether it counts, but I would like to think that if you have gotten the training somewhere at a workplace, then that counts and you don't have to do whatever. I said.
watch
It's like how many times. how-
Right.
we got to
I don't-
answer questions too. They ask us questions on my work.
Seems silly for you to have to do the training like 3
You don't
times
need to
in the
see
same
the-
year.
The video to know the answer.
Yeah, I know the answer.
You have to skip ahead to the end.
No, but they ask questions throughout the whole video.
Yeah, maybe it. That's gonna be.
I know.
So the Paylocity one, I think, does maybe ask you occasional questions or make sure that you're.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This 23-minute video does no such thing. You just watch the 23 minutes.
I have to watch the work.
End of story.
You don't pass it, you have to go back.
So when I send out the video, I am happy to say that if you have done it for your other job, just write back to me. I have completed the training.
I can print you out a certificate.
That's fine by me. And then everybody else, if you just please watch that video. 23 minutes.
Discriminated against because I'm retired.
Man, I just-
So we don't give you any grief, isn't it? This is why you want us to do this.
Well,
Jason's feeling harassed by his board.
Right.
Now I have to find 23 minutes instead of 60.
Okay, so.
See, you're getting a better deal, because if they had to do a 60-minute training, you only have to do 23-minute trainings.
Such a deal,
Such a
Sherry.
deal.
Oh, popcorn.
Don't take this so serious.
Okay, so anything else on the director's report?
No, not that's well.
So department head reports, anybody would like to highlight something on the department head reports? Again, excellent job, very thorough.
I like the Christmas ones. Thank you.
So, you know, that was like. Okay.
Wait, I do have a question.
Sure.
Is Gail the only one trained in this Narcan training? I might have missed that in the previous.
Oh, no. We had an all staff, well, whoever could attend, but we had a meeting in November and I gave the attendees the training.
You heard it today about libraries now are unauthorized. How does it go? Something about having Narcan to give out. I don't remember exactly how it was. I was doing something else. It went-
Yeah, I think I mentioned it previously, but yes, starting January 1st, public libraries, which technically is not us, we're a district library. But it's gonna happen for us eventually. But
It's still public though.
well, the law is amending the Public Library Act, not the District Library Act.
But
Subtle difference. In the spirit of things, we wanted to be compliant with.
Right.
But starting January 1st, public libraries are supposed to have a supply of Narcan on hand and staff trained to administer it at all points while the library is open.
Can I
So-
submit a list of things I think we should have on hand here? I'd like Tylenol.
oh, don't let the lawyers hear you say that.
No, I think we had that discussion about we couldn't pass out medication. I'm kidding. Sorry.
So the nice thing about the Narcan or this law is that as long as it is administered in good faith, it absolves us of any liability. And just says that anybody can administer this medication. With the idea being, you can't overdose on Narcan. If you're not having an opioid overdose, it does nothing to you, so I could use it right now and nothing would happen. Hence, making it very easy to not have any liability, whereas Tylenol giving out
As we know.
could have
As
Very,
could
potential
have.
issues depending on all sorts of factors. So,
I'm really pleased with the Narcan thing. Of a friend of mine in Warrenville community, her son is in university and a boy in his dorm on his floor overdosed and he had Narcan from a training that he had done for some club or something. No, he got it from Little Fair. You know, they were handing it out at Little Fair and he had it in his dorm room and he quickly got it and he saved his, I mean. It seemed like he would have saved the kid, because, you know, they call the EMTs and stuff, but you just don't know. And if there's something that we could have at our access that might help somebody, I think it's pretty good.
yeah, so we signed up through, there's the page. Health department has a program where you can get a supply and then there's reporting involved, but to help them with their statistics, but we signed up for that program, so we have a supply. We had some already, but it's going to be expiring in some of it will expire in January and some in March, April. So we got a new supply that has a later expiration date, so we've got enough ready. And then we are just looking into, we were originally just gonna keep it with the AED, but we've decided after watching a couple of the trainings, it just seems good to have a supply out and available for anybody to take if they need it. Whether they're using it here or not in an emergency, but if they want to take it as a supply to have elsewhere. So we're just trying to figure out the right cabinet size and where it would go and whatnot, and then.
Oh, you mean general public could take some Narcan?
Yep, perfect.
What's the cost of the Narcan or?
Nothing.
And then why do some places say they have a vending machine? Is that just how they put it out?
I think so, yeah. We're just gonna have a small little either standing thing or tabletop sort of shelf with it for you to take.
Very good.
So, then, yeah, after watching a couple of the trainings, there was a training by the DuPage and one of the library directors did a lot of the training. And then there was a second one by an organization, Live for Lolly, that is very involved, and they had the two presenters were former addicts, one was a former heroin user. And it was a fantastic presentation.
I bet.
So, if you're interested, I can send you the links to the videos.
No, I already committed to 23 minutes.
But they were very good training, so, they gave a lot of good background information, and just kind of public, like, oh, I think this is a good thing to have just a supply available for the public to take if they need it.
Out of curiosity, have we ever had an issue where it seems like somebody's under the influence when they've been in here? I mean, or that,
This summer, we had one gentleman. Now, I haven't watched the video, it makes me reconsider, but I think at the time, we just thought he had maybe had too much to drink. I think it was one of the nights of our concerts. Oh, that's right. It was the same gentleman. I think there was one time during the day, he was out on the street and was unstable, and I believe the police came. I don't know where they took him, but one of the nights of the concert during the summer, he was around as well, but he sat for a while and eventually he seemed okay-ish. But we're debating, whether it's calling the police or not, like wanting to make sure that he was safe and secure, but also not wanting to create worse situations for anybody at the same time. So, but that's I don't know if you asked that question. That's the only occurrence that I'm aware of that we've had, at least since I've been here. But after watching these trainings, I don't know if it was alcohol or if it was something else.
I was at the puzzle one time, and one of your staff was diffusing a guy very effectively who was having like a mental health issue or something, and who was being annoying and abusive and kind of raising his voice and whatnot, and the staff member was able to get the person to leave in a friendly, coaxing way, and real appropriately. And I don't know what was the impetus for the guy's behavior, but it was weird. I was impressed.
anything else? To add? Okay, then, anything else from the department head?
Yeah, shout out, Dave Howard is an April 11th, so we volunteer, I'll buy that too. That would be fantastic. We haven't put together the volunteer form yet, but we wait a couple of weeks. I just want to highlight the choice one, that we put together. It was really cool events, they collectively donated toys throughout the month of February. And then we gave those who donated tickets for early access to pick up a different toy, and the rest of them, people with free to grab toys as well. And the leftovers from that were given to the family Johnson, the Johnson family did it. And to give it one so,
Oh,
Wow. Excellent. Good job.
okay, then, on to the president's report. So the next January, February, and March will be back on the third Wednesday of the month at 7 o'clock, back here in the meeting room. And that's kind of about it. So then on to the treasurer's report.
Made a little interest this month. Because we do that now.
Yay.
Yay.
Okay. So then on to the secretary's report.
I have nothing new to add.
Okay. And we don't have anything from the committee reports. So then we're on to trustee comments.
I have one, it's more of a question, I think. In the hometown happenings, I noticed about this smile, wave, and repeat, the Warrenville view and the spotlight stations. Is the library at all equipped or considering becoming a spotlight station?
Yes, we are.
Thank you.
I have one, when we were mentioning earlier about Diana's, last day, and you mentioned how wonderfully there were 60 people, and the reason I knew about that was Facebook. And Kathy, you do a really good job highlighting all the special events that go on there. So people see, wow, there's so much variety. Yeah, you can highlight Gail's accommodations and all kinds of things, so good job.
Great. Any other comments? Okay. And so are there any other items for information and or discussion? So then I need a motion for the final one of the evening.
I'm here, that we adjourned.
Okay, so motion was made by trustee Lazat and seconded by. Okay, so then we'll do a roll for our voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, then we are adjourned at 8:18 this evening.